to work, and everybody is a jerk because they all hate their lives.
Hey everyone, it's Movie Lover 120 here, and sorry I'm so angry today. I have to review a movie I have been long dreading to review. Yep, I'm gonna give you hints of what it was. Well, now guys, y'all remember Dr. Seuss? One of the most legendary authors of our childhood, invented and touched so many childhoods, touched all of us as kids. Y'all loved his stories as kids, and specifically, we loved especially one story the most as a child. Our parents loved reading us, The Cat in the Hat. Basically, easily Dr. Seuss's greatest book. Because it's so creative, and plus that cat in the book is very likable and very kind towards the kids, and anything simply just tries to bring fun into the house while their mom's gone. I mean, yeah, he screws up, but he fixes his mistake in the end. He cleaned up the house and then leaves, and then the kids escape trouble. That's pretty much how the book goes. And then there was a second book where he came back and still created havoc, but still fixed his messes. And since then, the cat would go on to become one of Dr. Seuss's most iconic characters. So, of course, but eventually, after Dr. Seuss unfortunately died in 1991, Hollywood and his wife, Audrey Gazelle, got a hold of some of his books and turned them into movies. And we all know this trend began with the Jim Carrey adaptation of The Grinch. Now, that movie, maybe people don't like it, but I personally like it. I mean, I kind of grew up with that film. I mean, I love to watch it every Christmas. I have no problem watching it. It never terrified me as a kid. But there was, of course, one Dr. Seuss adaptation that came after it. Yep, Cat in the Hat also got a movie adaptation, and it was yep, and today I'm going to be reviewing it. Yay! It's basically the one that proved Halloween wasn't the only thing to feature a horrifying Michael Myers. Yeah, basically, it was doomed the minute they casted Mike Myers as the cat. I mean, they were like, hey, Mike Myers was so successful with the children film Shrek, so maybe parents won't mind, and maybe people will still go see it anyway, even if we put a bunch of innuendos in it, because everyone loves Mike Myers. I mean, we had some innuendos in The Grinch too, so it won't mind. I mean, the kids won't even notice all the innuendos. I mean, there were innuendos in Shrek, so parents won't mind it either. Well, too bad they did. And it was released in November 2003 and was widely panned by critics. And while, yeah, it did make a somewhat huge amount of money, it still bombed at the box office. Thankfully, Elf beat its ass at the box office. Which, yeah, Elf will be one of the Christmas movie reviews, guys, and that will be much more exciting than this. Yeah. What is it about? Well, much like the book, a troublemaking cat in the hat arrives at the home of bored young Sally Walden and her brother Conrad, while their mother is out. The family's pet fish turns out to actually be able to talk and objects to the cat's presence. But that doesn't stop the hat-wearing giant feline from hell from trying to have fun, no matter how much destruction is left in his wake. And he does a horrifying laugh that goes like this. That laugh is horrifying. Ish. Why don't they just play that laugh in slow motion and see how even more horrifying it is? Okay, stop. I didn't mean it like that. Stop showing that laugh from hell. Let's just get on with this review so I can just go make my hot chocolate. Anyway, here's why this movie sucks so much. Here, the film is so unfaithful and insulting to the book and contains numerous jokes, sexual innuendos, scenes, and characters that are inappropriate for a target audience of kids, and ruin a lot of charm and charisma from the original book. In fact, the film should have been rated PG-13. Actually, it should have been rated R instead of PG. Like, seriously. Much like with the live action adaptation of The Grinch, which was actually good, in my opinion. The cat here in the film is very much the opposite of his book and TV special counterpart. In the original book and in short, he was kind, refined, funny, goofy, well-meaning, and while he was a bit of a nuisance, he was never a threat, and he actually made up for his mistake in the end. And he never tried to cause any harm. This film, he's mean, he's crude, he's horrifying, he's unfunny, malicious, cold-hearted, selfish, obnoxious, and a sadistic threat. Yeah, he basically acts like this demon from hell more than a cat. Just look at his design after this review. In particular, he mocks Larry. He mocks this randomly added villain, Larry, who doesn't even exist in the book. And by the way, guys, the villain Larry is played by Alec Baldwin. Poor dude. Money ain't free these days. For being allergic to him and then proceeds to push him off a cliff, and he literally stands there, does nothing but smile. When Sally and Conrad find the crate open, the former almost gets sucked in. To add insult to injury, when the house collapses and falls apart when Conrad locks the crate, the cat laughs discreetly, breaks that he did it, before changing to we did it after seeing the looks on Conrad and Sally's faces, and admits he knew everything that was going to happen as he planned the entire day, including remorsefully putting Sally, Conrad, and Larry in near-death experiences. So basically, he never showed up to give them a fun time. He tried to actually murder them. Later on, he attempts to play the victim when Conrad and Sally scold him out after he asked to play tennis. In addition, he also lies about losing his hat in the club when he had it all along. Yeah, like really. Like even the kids aren't really likable characters, but even they pointed out well in this scene, and they actually had good points about the cat screwing everything up. At one point in the film, the cat wants to cut his losses and ditch the kids, even though he knew the kids would suffer at the hands of Larry. This goes to show how the cat cares about nothing but himself. Another example of this ignorance is shown when Thing wanted things for a mess in the house. He admits this: "I'd be furious if this were my house." And then proceeds to do that horrified laugh again. Yeah, guys, he actually does that horrific laugh throughout the whole movie, basically, not just one scene. Additionally, he never shows any remorse or regret for all the chaos he causes throughout the film, and he's shown to be even stupid as well when they tell him to leave. He thinks that's a game. And much like the cat, Conrad and Sally are literally nothing compared to their book counterparts, as Conrad's basically just this rule-breaking, irresponsible brat who breaks rules for fun and throws a fit when things don't go his way, especially almost has risks getting his mom fired from her job because she's about to have this house party in the movie, and her boss warns her that if it's messy, yep, I'm not playing the clip, guys, she's fired. And the way the boss is fired is really annoying. Basically just yells it on, and it just never stops, and then ends with a duh. And Sally's a bossy, hypocritical, and patrolly girl who is very psychopathic to her friends and believes the world revolves around her. For example, she lies by claiming she told Conrad not to mess with the house when she never said anything, and she even tries to convince her mother to ground Conrad. They even add a bunch of characters and plot lines that never appeared in the original book. Like, for example, Larry Quinn, who's played by Alec Baldwin. Once again, I feel sorry for the poor dude. They can play this fat, lazy, alcoholic, unemployed next-door neighbor. Yeah, let's add an alcoholic in a kids movie, who hates kids and pets and only plans to marry Joan for her money and send Conrad to military school. And they also have Miss Kwan, this lazy babysitter who's this very racist stereotype, and does nothing but sleep instead of doing her job in the house, being messed up to the point of becoming an alternate dimension. And then Mr. Hank Humberfloop, Joan's boss, who's a germophobic and absolute perfectionist, fires a worker just for shaking his unwashed hand, and requested a party at Joan's house. The movie also has extra morals and are incredibly forced and unnecessary instead of following the book's moral. And here's all comes the inappropriate sexual humor and innuendos. Scenes and characters featured include, well, yeah, Ms. Kwan's this racist Chinese stereotype who watches a Taiwanese parliament fight instead of babysitting Sally and Conrad and basically does nothing. When Larry tells Conrad about how he's going to send him to military school, he also calls him a little son of a B before Joan walks back in when she picks up and pretends to love him. Yeah, they actually almost have come close to swearing in this movie because once again, how is this even for kids? The cat explaining how his mom and dad made up before Conrad changed the conversation. It goes like this: when a mommy cat and a daddy cat love each other very much, they decide to, yeah. You get the point. And then there's also one scene where the cat lusts over this picture of Joan to the point his hat enlarges, kind of like a, yeah, basically like an erection in a way. And very disturbing and very inappropriate for children to see, like anyone wants to see that. And then when the cat's scanning them, and when he gets to Sally, the arrow gouge points at a section labeled serial arsonist. The cat tapped on the machine and switches to control freak. And of course, Cat telling Carr and Sally not to listen to Fish because he drinks where he pees. Ew. And then there's the horrifying scene where he sings that musical number about having fun. And even one part, he mentions a boy who almost chopped off his balls, where he quickly changed it to boy who wasn't fun. And similarly, in the scene where he sings the song, he only mentions a girl who had bugs up her butt before he changed it to just ask who wasn't fun. The cat then drinks a bottle of milk, claims it's going to come back to haunt him at the end of the musical number, and his stomach gets big, implying the milk almost gave him diarrhea. And then later, he ends up fixing his couch for them to jump on if you've already seen the movie, and he dresses up as the stereotypical redneck trucker and shows his actual butt crack and farts at the camera, basically. Like, that's not funny. That's really disgusting, actually. I really don't think... And, like, once again, this movie should have been rated R. And then there's the cupcake scene. There's another cat who's his host, and saying that the cat says he'll kill him and make it look like a bloody accident. And if it tells him to shut the press and end him, then he nearly cuts off his tail, says, "Oh, I chopped it off," as like, "Son of a bat." Yeah, you get the point. Once again, they almost say the B word again. And then him pretending to be a mother, and then using your dress to clean up the cupcake stains. And to be fair, guys, okay, I will admit. Okay, maybe the dress scene actually was the only thing that actually kind of made me laugh. I mean, just one quote he says. I think the only funny quote in this movie is this: "Honey, it was ruined when she bought it." Mm-hmm, yeah. Okay, that actually did get a laugh out of me. I actually thought that was kind of funny. And then when they show Larry being the lazy slob, he is someone watching his TV at what implies to be a topless woman. Until the cable guys come and repossess his TV. And then after they come repossess his TV, he picks his belly button on camera. And let's not forget the infamous "dirty hoe" line. And then later attempts to make out with the garden hoe after apologizing. And yeah. And one last innuendo I'm going to mention, because there's too many at this point. I don't need to mention all of them. He shows his car when they try to go after Larry and Nevins, which he calls it the super hygienic instantaneous transporter. Basically, in short, the short name for it is basically shit. Yeah. Literally. But then he changed it to super luxurious omnidirectional Majir, aka the slow, to prevent Conrad from saying the acronym of the previous name, even though we pretty much already know what it means. And then once the cat does get to Nevins, he tricks Larry into having it and dresses up as another racist stereotype, as a Jamaican person. Yeah. And that's all I'm going to mention for all the innuendos, because I just want to mention other stuff and get this done. Awful characters and unconvincing character development. Some trailers showed scenes that aren't even the film, such as the cat hiding from Connor inside in the living room ceiling, and the cat opening the door to the house. Flawed and unintentionally creepy designs, and makeup, most notably with the cat in Thing 1 and Thing 2. Same goes for the costume for Conrad, Sally, Joan, and other human characters. In particular, the costume design for the cat doesn't even look like a cat. It looks more like a giant skunk from hell. And let's not forget product placement. Specifically where they ride on this Quan to get to the crates. There's an infamous scene where the cat shows this Universal Studios pamphlets during the climax, and they even pause it after Conrad said it's like a Rise Music Park, and the cat's like, "You mean like at Universal Studios?" Cha-ching. Forced. Everyone in this movie drives a Ford except for the cat. Everyone in the town of Annabelle drove a Ford Focus, except for Larry, who drove a 2002 Ford Thunderbird. Another example of product placement. The lackluster special effects and visuals. Most of the conflicts were incredibly forced and convincing, particularly the conflict with Connor and Joan. They have little to no ability to be so harsh in each other's words. Plot holes like Joe not seeing further things disguised when if they chuck each other, which obviously reveals their actual size. There is a scene in the movie where Sally discovers that none of her ex-friends invited her to her birthday party, and the movie holds on to the scene for a few seconds and makes the viewers think that Sally will reconcile with her friends, but instead they decide to abandon that arc for no apparent reason and just focus on the cat's stupid arc. The acting is so bad. Like, Carl and Sally's actors, yeah. I think you already know their names if you see them, but thankfully, 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 Dakota Fanning's career recovered quick. Thankfully, but can't really say the same thing about Spencer Breslin. Never show any emotion about the film, which monotone voices and the actors don't seem to care about their performances. But thankfully, however, Fanning's career did recover with Coraline, but eventually, thankfully. But Spencer Breslin sounds like he has something in his mouth. There are multiple times throughout the film where the cat acts like he agrees with the rules Connor and Sally tell him, only to purposely break them right after. For example, when Sally tells him that their mom said they can't jump on the couch, he acts like he agrees only for the purpose to say, not like this, and proceeds to mess up the couches, and of course leads to the redneck scene. Mike Myers was miscast as the cat. Now, I love Mike Myers as Shrek and Austin Powers, but absolutely not as the cat. At all. And twice through the film, there are scenes that are racist. Like the scene where Miss Kwan was watching Taiwanese Parliament. She was fighting instead of discussing things civilized. And the scene where the cat tricks Larry to hang Evans, he dresses up like the Jamaican stereotype. Now, their redeeming qualities, yeah, okay. There are still some faithful moments. I mean, I guess, like, thing 1 and 2 still messing with the house, which is in the book, and the cat cleaning up with the clean machine you're in, those are in the book. I mean, the sets and props also carry Dr. Seuss look and feel at least, and the opening credits are logos, which the only good scene in the movie, yeah, are the opening credits and the opening logos, because they're actually the only faithful to Dr. Seuss thing in the whole movie, really. David Newman's score is fitting and amazing most of the time. It's a shame it belongs in such a bad adaptation. And while the humor tends to be weak, there are still a few funny moments like the cupcake and Nader scene, and the moment where the cats get beat up upon disguising himself as a peon can be a bit heartbreaking, but it's also most satisfying. Yeah, it's very satisfying considering what an unlikable asshole he is in the film. Yeah, there are somewhat tolerable characters, and the slow vehicle, yeah, it's a pretty awesome vehicle. And at least the tone is somewhat lighter compared to the Grinch's dark and eerie tone, but here's the thing, guys. I like the Grinch better, and at least tried to be faithful to the source material, and actually, plus Jim Carrey actually nailed his performance as the Grinch, and was everything the Grinch was supposed to be portrayed as. Here, the Cat in the Hat is none of those. Cat in the Hat is just shit. Complete shit. It's basically like they tried to make a parody of Dr. Seuss, and it failed. I mean, everyone's right. The cat is horrifying. He's got a horrifying laugh, a horrifying face, a horrifying design. And let's not forget the production too. Mike Myers wasn't the only one considered for the role. I mean, they were going to have Tim Allen film it, but he was busy filming Santa Claus 2. Thank God, he was smart not to play in this. He almost tried to consider Will Ferrell to play the cat, but he also was smart and decided to actually go film Elf, which is a good movie at the time. And Billy Bob Thornton also considered to play the cat, but he also didn't do it because he was also smart not to, and went to go film an actually funny movie called Bad Santa at the time the film was even in production. Mike Myers also didn't even want to be in this movie, but was forced to after backing up a post-film imitation of his Saturday Night Live character, Dieter from Dieter's Day, which Brian Grazer and Bo Welch would have also produced and directed, respectively. And it would have been about Dieter trying to rescue his pet monkey Claus from co-stars David Hasselhoff and Jack Black, but of course the project was shelved. And of course, well, Mike Myers didn't interact with any of the actors offset, and often distanced himself from everyone, and even hated working on the movie so much. And honestly, I wouldn't agree with him. I too would hate working on this movie a lot if I had to play in it. But yeah. All in all, guys, Cat in the Hat is a sucky movie. Avoid it. And just go read the book. Or even play the computer game. Or even watch the animated special instead. Please. do not watch this movie. Even if you've already watched it, I mean, if you do want to watch it, you can watch it as like a drinking game with your buddies. Like, have a Zoom call with your buddies and get them to have a little drink while they're on Zoom with you and watch this movie at their houses while you're on Zoom. So basically, make fun of how crappy it is and horrifying it is. Yeah. So, all in all, guys, I'm not going to do it by first screen size, but I'm going to give The Cat in the Hat a double thumbs down. And what would that be? Well, here's what it would be. It would be a 0 out of 10. Yeah. None. Yeah. All in all. So yeah, I am finally done my review of Cat in the Hat, thank God. And my next review is actually going to be for something that doesn't suck. So, you're wondering, what's going to be my next review? Well, I don't know yet, but it's going to be a good movie and not a sucky one this time because I just want to review something good to get this movie out of my head. But yeah, it'll be something good until I think about it. That'll be it for this review, guys. Thank you all for watching. And if you like this and want to see more, and don't forget to like and subscribe to Movie Lover 120.